Hello, Quesnel, and welcome to Q Today. I'm Allison Duddy.
And I'm Nate Bell, and this is our show for November the 9th.
Coming up on today's show, our top story from The Observer, West Fraser reports positive third quarter results, and some City Council meeting highlights from Monday night.
Yes, and one of those highlights was a presentation by the Friendship Center, and we're going to have a feature report on that.
Okay, here at Q Today, we bring you the recent news provided by our partnership with the Quesnel Cariboo Observer, combined with a little bit of our own commentary.
And we also bring you our own ideas from the community. Do you have some ideas? Do you have some things you want to share? Any concerns that you have? You're especially proud of someone or something in the community? What you think is important, we think is important. So give us a call at 992-3650 or QToday at qcatv.ca. Just email us that with your story and ask us to cover it, and you know what's important in our community, and we want to share it with everybody else. Allison.
Thanks, Nate. So moving on to the news, remember we just give the highlights here at Q Today, so if you want to read the full details, pick up your copy of the Quesnel Cariboo Observer. And now, over to Nate here for the news.
Okay, we got a big financial things. I'm feeling like Kevin O'Leary and Amanda Lang. They're on CBC, and they do finances. Well, here's a financial story. In our top story, West Fraser credits strong Canadian plywood prices and an increase in U.S. starts, and that's a first in a long time, for positive third quarter results. The company reported earnings for the third quarter of 2012 of $55 million, and earnings per share, that's $1.27 per share, of $722 million. For the first 9 months of 2012, earnings were $65 million, and earnings per share were $1.51 on sales of $2.2 billion. In the quarter, the lumber segment generated operating revenues of $37 million. The company stated lumber prices continue to reflect gradually improving U.S. demand, combined with a continuing steady demand for Canadian lumber from both Canada and Asia. Furthermore, the company's panel segment included which includes plywood, laminated veneer lumbering, and medium-density fiberboard, generated $22 million. And pulp and paper generated $17 million. This is in line with the company's previous quarter. The company said, though, reduced costs resulted in marginal improvement in operating earnings compared with the previous quarter. West Fraser also announced that it has entered into an agreement to purchase Sundance sawmilling and remanufacturing operations based in Edson, Alberta, and their related timber harvesting rights. We are Hank Ketchum says, he's the CEO, we are pleased to have the opportunity to grow our business in Alberta, and we are excited to welcome the Sundance employees to the West Fraser team. And Allison, I'm going to have a little comment about that when we talk later on in some of the council highlights.
Sounds good. All right, Annie Gallant wrote a story for Wednesday's Observer on a young local musician, Dylan Earl. Now, Dylan has been playing the tuba for a relatively short period of time, but he's proficient on the piano, the saxophone, and the trombone, which made the transition to tuba less difficult. Now, with the encouragement of his Corlew music teacher, Sean Smith, Dylan entered the wind ensemble for the Musical Educators Association All-Star Concert Band. This band would perform to thousands of people during the association's annual conference for high school and elementary teachers in Richmond in October. Now, auditions were conducted via email in April, and students that were accepted for the all-star bands and choirs were advised in late June. Dylan said he was very excited but nervous. He wasn't sure what to expect when he got accepted for the band. He was able to attend an initial practice where the performers were given the 8 pieces that they were going to be performing at the conference, and from there he was expected to practice and basically learn it perfectly so that when they got together in Richmond, all the musicians could put it all together. So once he arrived in Richmond, the concert band, which was 17 instruments and 60 musicians, had 20 hours of practice time together. Dylan said he was nervous until the concert band took the stage, But when he got out there, everything just fell right into place for him. Despite minimal practice together and musicians who'd met just days before, Dylan said that they all carried their weight musically, and he was very proud of their performance. Performing with the All-Star Concert Band is one of the pinnacles of Dylan's high school career. However, he plans to apply to the National Youth Orchestra, which performs during the showcase concerts at Music Fest held annually at the University of Toronto. That will be May the 13th to 18th, 2013. So hopefully we'll hear some more about Dylan maybe making that also.
Yeah, congratulations, Dylan. It's fantastic. Another example of Quesnel people marching forward.
That's right. Good one, Nate.
Okay, here's some highlights from Monday's council meeting. Council gave first 3 readings to the master fee bylaw. This bylaw covers various fees and charges, not including property taxes, that the municipality collects. The fees were all put into one bylaw in 2010 to make the process of them of updating them more efficient. Some of the changes include, here's the changes, okay? An increase to water and service utility fees, various increases to fees in development service department, an introduction of landfill tipping fees by weight, and an increase for cemetery fees. Those are some of the changes.
There were a few fees that weren't affected, Nate, as such, I think dog licenses was
the
one.
dog license are okay.
And business license was another one, I think.
The businesses were okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there were a few that were.
The property owners are the ones that got it. And they even have you when you're going down in your grave. But that's okay. But it does bring up a point, and that is related to the West Fraser idea, Allison. They're doing much better, and yet this council has kind of continued the shift. Now, a shift away from industry is probably a good thing, but they've kept it going, I think, a little bit too much. And when we have to raise our user fees, because we not really giving the opportunity for West Fraser to fulfill, to help with the community, it's kind of a little bit hard to take sometimes. But anyway, we all have to pay for services, so.
True.
Other things is they gave a pair of first reading to a zoning bylaw amendment that, if approved, would allow lodging use at 1346 Abbott Drive. The property owner is looking to create up to 5 boarding spaces in a safe home setting for seniors. Council will set the public hearing for December the 10th at 7 o'clock at council chambers for public input. And maybe some people might be a little bit concerned, about the way their neighborhood is. But that's a pretty good address to right on Abbott Drive. That it would be really good for people, because that's the kind of flexibility that we need in terms of housing, where we can think about the needs. And they did study on housing needs, and this is part of the solution.
You bet. Okay,
Council also approved an indemnity increase of 0.7%, which is keeping in line with council policy, which states council's pay will increase by the September increase in the Consumer Price Index. So as of January 1, the mayor is going to get $35.55 a month, and councilors are going to get $12.20 a month. The change means a total increase in the City Council indemnity budget of only $975. So I think that's the way you want to do it. You don't want to make it a political issue. Basically, Consumer Price Index goes up, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, there was also a presentation from the Native Friendship Center, but we're going to have a feature on that in just a few minutes.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nate. So Kearsley players are taking the stage November the 22nd to 24th in the lighthearted romp Turn the Page. Patrons of previous players' productions, say that one 10 times, Nate, may notice a few changes from the tried and true with this upcoming production. First, this will be one of the few shows presented by the Kearsley players that has not been written by the prolific playwright Roy T.
You like your P's.
Lots of P's in this one. The changes on stage are not the only difference that attendees will notice. All performances will be show only. No dinner will be offered, although apparently if you bring enough to share with the cast, they will let you bring your own consumables. And just so that you know, pizza is preferred, according to the cast. Tickets can be purchased for $10 each at Caribou Propane for performances, again, November 22nd to 24th in Kersley Hall, and showtime is 7:30 p.m. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes.
I know those guys, and they're great.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to sports. The Kangaroos were in action last Saturday night against the Lacklahash Tomahawks. All right, let's go Roos. Let's get in there and get a lot of penalties. It was penalties that have been with the Tomahawks scoring all of their goals on the power play in a 6-5 upset of the Roos. Oh, wow. Without the penalties resulting in power play goals, it would have been a totally different game. I don't know. Did I like to fight, or what was the thing? As Ron Campbell always says, you can't score goals from the penalty box.
So true. Thanks for that, Nate. So I've got some curling Super League results from last week next here. The Billy Barker Casino won over Karen's Health Foods. Child Development Center put an end to Douglas Lake Equipment's 3-game winning streak. Frank's Supermarket took the win over Investors Group. Willis Harper was victorious over Jar Transport. And A&W remains the only undefeated team with an 8-4 win over Caribou Pulp. So, some good curling going on.
Okay. Okay, I was at City Council also on Monday, Ellison, and what I was very impressed with was a Friendship Center presentation that they gave. As you know, the Friendship Center has been in existence for a long time. In fact, did you know it's their 40th anniversary this
I
this
didn't
year?
know that, actually.
They started in 1972, and they have a big project that they went to council and sought their support for. And I just wanted to go through. We have some pictures of the council, of the 3 people at the representing the Friendship Center at council's meetings for last Monday, and it was a very positive meeting. So first of all, Holly Garvin was, who is vice president of the Friendship Center, talked about how she has been intensely involved with the Friendship Center for a long time, including her parents were around when it started, and also with her was Laura Boyd, and Laura's a program director at the Friendship Center, and she talked about the fact that she went and did some research and learned how it all started 40 years ago, 1972, and Sandy Brenton also made a presentation. And he gave the facts of what they wanted to do there. So I thought what we would do is talk a little bit about their presentation and how the community can really become excited about what's happening there. Well, in 1972, the board of directors was inaugurated, and they took over an old building there. And that old building, it wasn't the existing Friendship Center, it was just a house. And so immediately they said, we're going to get something going. Now, why did they start Friendship Centers? It was because a lot of people from the reserve were moving into town at that time. And they decided that there were some supports that needed to be given to them. Like some kind of adjustment to urban life, especially for the people that have been living such a rural and in many cases very traditional lifestyle. So they started Friendship Centers, and they started all over the country, from coast to coast to coast, and these all started in the 70s and early 80s. And so now what's happening is that they're having very vibrant programs there. They're really addressing the needs of people there. They have about 10 programs at our Friendship Center, and they go from working with youth to elders, some cultural activities. Charlene Banconet, one of our correspondents, she works on fetal alcohol syndrome disorder there. And so she's really helping people to get the message out. Don't drink when you're pregnant and that kind of thing. Well, that's just one of, I said, 10 programs that they're having. Alcohol and drug. They're into health-related things. They've got a kitchen there. So they do a lot of positive things. And but one thing that's happened in the last little while is they've realized that the building itself
needs help.
Yeah, it needs help. It needs a little TLC. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
You know, so when you go by that area, you see, you know, that there's that the cars are in front. The shakes are kind of old-fashioned, and inside the HVAC system is kind of dated. And this is something that you would be interested in. They've tried to work on accessibility, but there's a lot more to more to see happen.
Yeah.
So what they're working on is fixing up the whole place. What they're saying is that and here's their vision, and they did a survey about 100 years with 100 people, not 100 years ago.
I hope not.
With 100 people, and they said the Quesnel-Tillicum Society, through the operation of the Friendship Center, will support Aboriginal people to achieve their dreams collectively and individually. And in order to achieve this aim, the facility must speak to the spirit of everyone who enters its doors. And only then will the Friendship Center be able to reach the hearts and minds of both the Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people. So, after Holly and Laura spoke, then Sandy took over, and he talked about the feasibility of doing this, because when they did a report. And actually, to be honest, I helped with the report. They did a report, and what it was is they said, okay, what do we really want to see happen here? And what they want is a gathering place next to the Friendship Center, okay? And then also we also do the TLC that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And so the gathering place would be great, but the whole vision would be about a $3.5 million project.
Wow.
So, you know, you don't, okay, where's my
chunk of
checkbook?
change,
You know,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe John has a checkbook there, he might be able to do it. You know, that really is a dream, and they think that eventually, through grants and this and that, it could happen.
Yeah.
But this past summer, what happened was Western Economic Diversification, which is a federal government organization that supports economic development, came up with the possibility of a $250,000 grant. So they did some scratching together, and they said that, well, if we get that $250,000, there's a possibility that from other places we get matching funds.
That's
we could
right.
Use
it's
our
a good
own.
place to start.
That's right. It's a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they could match it. And right now on the books, we've got a possibility of a $650,000 increase a project.
Yeah.
So that would provide accessibility for those washrooms, fix up the outside of it, accessibility doorway, the main hall, fix up more lighting in the door, you know, get rid of some of the old tile, get the kitchen going and stuff like that. So they wanted to ask the city council if they would support them in this. And Councillor Ed Coleman got up there and said, yes, I want to, let's put it forward. I've seen there's been a lot of work that it's done in terms of feasibility study and the vision, as I was saying before that. And so council said, yes, we will go for it. So they're supporting them for the Western Economic Diversification thing, for Caribou Beetle Action Coalition has a grant program out there, Northern Development. So there's all these places.
Yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So they've got their fingers crossed, and the last thing is they want to. They also invited council to come to the 40th anniversary of the Friendship Center, and if anybody out there has had things to do with the Friendship Center over the last little while, call them and get on the invite list. It's on November 22nd at 5 o'clock, and then the next day, they're going to celebrate it in a different way through a workshop celebrating the Friendship Center of the past, the present, and the future.
And hopefully the future.
So it's a great thing, and I've been so proud that I've been involved. I've been involved in it, and so we hope that there's some of these grant opportunities will come to pass, and that we will be able to fix up that Friendship Center, and then we'll be looking ahead to the big project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's great.
So there we are. That's a full report.
Thanks for that report. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's great. So next up, let's get ready to rumble. We have another edition of Ron's Rumblings, and this topic today is volunteerism. So check it out.
You who have tuned into my rumblings in the past know that I usually pick a subject that gripes me and many others. Those who don't use signal lights, those who tailgate regardless of the weather or road conditions, politicians who think they were anointed, not elected. But today, though, I want to appeal to those of you who do not volunteer your time and effort to worthy causes and or join service clubs or volunteer organizations. The Canadian Cancer Society, Palliative Care, the Arts Club, I could go on, but you know what I mean. Most of these organizations are being manned by individuals that have been doing it for years and years. They need new blood, young blood, in order for them to continue to do the good work that they have carried on for the citizens of Quesnel for so many years. So come on, get out of your comfort zone, look around and see where your talents can be put to use, and you won't regret one moment of it. Volunteer for Quesnel.
Okay, now it's time for Sutton Shutters. It's time of the year, and I'm sure you've seen the local cadets, Legion members, and volunteers out in the community collecting donations for the annual Poppy campaign. Dave Sutton snagged a few photos of some of our volunteers out there helping to collect donations used for veterans and their families. He also sent us some pictures of some horses in the fields by Dragon Lake. Thanks as always, Dave.
You bet. Now it's time to take a look at what's happening in Quesnel with our community calendar.
And before we close, a little news from our Lions Club. They're getting down to the final stretches of their big 5-minute shopping spree. 5-minute shopping spree. You were with the P's, these are with the S's. Okay. At Save On Foods, tickets are $5 and available at Save On Foods and at KMAX. The draw will take place December the 8th, and the shopping spree happens on December 18th. Also, they have extra garage sales during the Christmas season,
right.
So the dates are set. December 8th is a garage sale at Maple Park Mall, and then the next week on the 15th.
Oh, we're having a time of it today.
Yes.
So coming up on future Q Today shows, Charlene, Bert, and Susan are all cooking up some new segments for your enjoyment. So stay tuned for those on future shows.
And for the last few weeks, we've been ending the show with a little entertainment from Christine Allen and friends. And as we leave you today, we're going to have Christine and friends with a little Middle Eastern jazz.
Sounds good. That is it for this show. We want to send out a special thank you to Alex, who is our 13-year-old apprentice camera operator today. And we also want to hear from you with your story ideas, your comments on the show. How are we doing here at Q Today? Remember,
Q
Today is about Quesnel.
Talking to Quesnel.
Bye for now.